As we look up into the night sky, after the sun goes down, we can see thousands of stars. Some of these bright-like objects are actually planets. Since the beginning of the 20th century, a particular object that appeared to be a very dim star was found and acknowledged as the outermost planet from our sun. This object puzzled scientists for many years due to its unusual characteristics compared to the other planets. In 2006, this world was reclassified as a dwarf planet amid much controversy by the public and astronomers around the world. This is the story of Pluto, formerly known as the ninth and most distant planet out from our sun. In order to better understand this world and its characteristics, it's best to start from the very beginning. The word planet comes from the Greek word planetes, meaning wanderer. From the beginning of civilization, astrologers, as they were called back then, noticed very bright objects in the nighttime sky that appeared to be traveling along the same path that our sun and moon do. Since they appear to move against the background of stars, these astronomers gave them the name planets. There are 5 known naked-eye planets in our solar system that we can see without binoculars or a telescope. The 2 planets within the orbit of our Earth are Mercury, named after the Roman messenger of the gods, and Venus, the planet closest to Earth, named after the Roman goddess of love. After Venus, we come to the blue marble of Earth, and then onward to the red planet Mars, named after the Roman god of war. The orbits of these 4 inner planets are all fairly close to each other and to the Sun. Further out, we come to the largest planet in our solar system and the first gas giant, Jupiter, named after the Roman king of the gods. Following Jupiter, we come to the beautiful ringed planet of Saturn, named after the Roman god of agriculture and the father of Jupiter in Roman mythology. For many years, until the beginning of the mid-18th century, only these 6 planets in our solar system were known. In 1781, an astronomer named William Herschel discovered a gravitational tugging of the planet Saturn. This disturbance is known as perturbation. Herschel predicted the existence of a planet far beyond the orbit of the ringed planet that tugged on it. This led to the discovery of the planet Uranus. Named after the Greek god of the sky, on March 13, 1781, it was first seen in the constellation of Taurus, the bull. Less than 70 years later, 2 English astronomers, Urbain Le Verrier and John Couch Adams, noticed the same type of disturbances in the planet Uranus's orbit as it traveled around the Sun. An astronomer named Johann Gottfried Galle confirmed the existence of the planet Neptune on September 23, 1846. This world was named after the Roman god of the sea. It was originally found in the constellation of Aquarius, the water-bearer. 54 years later, an astronomer named Percival Lowell discovered the same disturbances in Neptune's orbit, very similar to that of the previous gas giant planets. Percival predicted the existence of another planet beyond the orbit of Neptune. While searching for it, he dubbed the object Planet X. Percival Lowell passed away in 1916, and the quest for Planet X was abandoned. No one searched for it again until a young 25-year-old astronomer named Clyde Tombaugh used a small device called a blink comparator. He used this device to search along the ecliptic for objects that moved in the background of stars, the very same way the other planets travel. On February 18, 1930, in the constellation Gemini near the star Wazat. The images were taken just a few days apart. Here is the original position of Pluto. And so another world was added to our list of planets in our solar system. An 11-year-old girl from England named Venetia Burney proposed the name Pluto after the Roman god of the underworld and the giver of wealth. Pluto is about 4 billion miles away from our Sun, meaning it is almost 40 times further from the Sun than the Earth is. Pluto spins on its axis in 6 days, 9 hours, and 16 minutes. You need to use a large telescope to see this outermost world, one that is 8 inches or bigger. The object has a small diameter of only 1,500 miles, making it the smallest planet in our solar system. Its axial tilt is 122 degrees, meaning during a certain portion of its revolution around the Sun, which takes 248 years, one pole is tilted towards the Sun every 124 years, while the other lives in darkness. Pluto has 5 known moons, all named based on the mythology of its planet. Its largest moon, Charon, is half the size of Pluto, making it a double planet system. Pluto's moon revolves around Pluto very much the same way our moon is with our Earth. What this means in the case of Pluto, however, is that Pluto will always appear to show the same face on Charon's surface and vice versa. This type of phenomenon is known as synchronous rotation. Charon is named after the ferryman who carried the dead across the river Styx, which led to the underworld. Pluto has 4 other moons. Styx is named after the very river that leads the dead into the underworld. Nyx, which is the mother of Charon. Kerberos, which is the Greek name for Cerberus, is the 3-headed dog that guards the underworld. Hydra is one of the monsters that guarded the underworld. He is also featured in the stories of the 12 labors of Hercules. Pluto's thin atmosphere consists of carbon monoxide, nitrogen, and methane. It is believed by many astronomers that Pluto's atmosphere is only temporary when it reaches its closest approach to the Sun. All of the planets do not travel around the Sun in perfect circles. The planets travel around in slightly elongated orbits called ellipses. Therefore, there are times when a planet is closest to the Sun, and the reverse when it is furthest from the Sun. Pluto's orbit is much more elongated than the other planets. Pluto's closest approach was on September 5, 1989, when it was only 27 times further from the Sun than the Earth was. Scientists believe as Pluto approaches its furthest point from the Sun in August of 2113, the atmosphere will freeze onto its surface. At that point, it will be nearly 50 times further from the Sun than the Earth. Oddly enough, Pluto's orbit goes within Neptune's orbit for about 20 years. It was upon this discovery, made in 1979, that Pluto's status as a planet was rolled into question. As it approaches its furthest distance from the Sun, Pluto will become the second planet in the solar system that will have no atmosphere, following the innermost world of the solar system, Mercury. In 2005, Caltech astronomer Mike Brown found an object nearly 2 times further from the Sun than Pluto is. He also discovered that Pluto was smaller than this newly found object. For a good many months, this object was known as Planet X. This world was found in the constellation of Cetus the Whale as a very dim 21st magnitude star. This new world, which was called Eris, after the Greek goddess of discord, this world also has a moon called Dysnomia. This region where Pluto and Eris resides is called the Kuiper Belt.
This was named after an astronomer, Gerard Kuiper, who had hypothesized that a belt of rocky material surrounded the solar system outside the orbit of Pluto.
The International Astronomical Union decided to once again question Pluto as a planet. After heavy debate in August 2006 at the IAU conference in Prague, only 4% of the full membership that attended the meeting decided to reclassify Pluto and Eris as dwarf planets. The IAU defined a planet based on these 3 definitions. 1. A celestial body that is in orbit around the Sun. 2. Has sufficient mass for its self-gravity to overcome rigid body forces so that it assumes a hydrostatic equilibrium, nearly round shape. 3 has cleared the neighborhood around its orbit. The reason why the IAU made their reclassification of Pluto was the fact that it did not meet the third criteria of what a planet is. According to the IAU, it was believed that Pluto does not clear the neighborhood of its orbit, but the other planets do because Pluto is part of the Kuiper Belt. This brought the total of all the planets from Pluto to the Sun from 9 down to 8. The largest asteroid, called Ceres, which was discovered on January 1, 1801, was also reclassified as a dwarf planet. In addition, other objects in the outer solar system between the orbits of Pluto and Eris were also classified as dwarf planets. Their names are Haumea and Makemake. But throughout all this time, no one knew what Pluto actually looked like. It is so distant and so dim that the best Earthbound telescopes only showed Pluto as a small dot with dark areas. What was needed was a spacecraft that flew to Pluto to take a close look at it.
It wasn't until the New Horizons spacecraft was launched in 2006 that we finally sent a spacecraft to visit this frozen world. Although New Horizons is the fastest spacecraft ever launched, it still took more than 9.5 years to get to distant Pluto. This image of Pluto and its largest moon, Charon, was taken by the Ralph Color Imager aboard NASA's New Horizons spacecraft in April. It is the first color image ever made of the Pluto system by a spacecraft on approach. A portrait from the final approach. Pluto and Charon display striking color and brightness contrast in this composite image from July 11. This is the first hint of Pluto's most dramatic feature, the pale pink heart-shaped feature on the left. This view is dominated by the large, bright feature informally named the Heart, which measures approximately 1,000 miles, 1,600 kilometers, across. The Heart borders darker equatorial terrains, and the mottled terrain to its east are complex. This image of Pluto's Heart, Tomball Regio, was taken when the spacecraft was 280,000 miles away. It shows features as small as 1.4 miles. Pluto is not simply a dead, cratered world as expected. For example, this new close-up colorized image of a region near Pluto's equator reveals a giant surprise, a range of youthful mountains rising as high as 11,000 feet, 3,500 meters, above the surface of the icy body. New Horizons swept right past Pluto, photographed Pluto and Charon in detail, and took the best images of Styx, Nix, Kerberos, and Hydra that it could. The featured image composite shows the results. Each moon is seen to have a distinct shape, while underlying complexity is only hinted. If one were to land on Pluto, the sun would only be as bright as 250 times the light of a full moon. Therefore, on Pluto, the brightness of the sun at noon would be similar to the brightness on Earth about 3 minutes after sunset or 3 minutes before sunrise. Whether you consider Pluto to be the 9th planet or the king of the dwarf planets, and whatever the outcome and information we continue to receive from astronomers or future space probes visiting this world, Pluto is certainly a very unique and special solar system object. It is the new horizon of our solar system.